Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends, guys. Welcome back to IDontWorkHereLady, the place where Karens believe that everyone is put on earth to serve them. And in today's episode, a Karen gets taught a lesson that she won't forget, guys, after handing out slaps at a grocery store. Guys, I hope you enjoy the stories. Hit subscribe if you haven't. And as always, you can send or link your stories to this email right here. Let's go. So here's a bit of background information needed. I'm working for a private bank in a city where around 150,000 people live. Our bank is in the center of the city, and obviously there's some other banks around. In most of the banks, all the employees are wearing business clothes, like a suit, shirt, tie, and leather boots for men. And so do I. A couple of weeks ago, I was just sitting at my desk, sorting the mail I received, when I saw a letter that was addressed to another bank. Nothing special, the postman just made a small mistake. Now, usually, we just send those letters to the right address, but I realized that the bank where it's supposed to go is like a block down the road, so I decided to drop it off during my lunch break. So I started my break, went to the bank, and I handed the letter to a woman at the front desk. I was already leaving the building when I saw a buddy of mine withdrawing money at the ATM. I greet him, and we went a bit to the side, and we start chatting about random stuff. After a couple of minutes, I hear that someone behind me was coughing, and I didn't bother looking at all. And then the coughing got louder and louder, and I still didn't turn around, until someone grabs my shoulder and forced me to turn. And this is where the conversation with this old woman starts. Karen basically says to me, "Will you stop your unnecessary talk and help me with the ATM already?" I just say to her, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't help you, I don't work here." Karen says, "You're wearing a suit, and you helped him at the ATM, and you're telling me that you don't work here?" I respond, "No, he's a friend of mine, and I just met him here." At this point, my buddy starts going into troll mode for a bit. My friend looks at me and says, "Sir, you can't refuse to help a paying customer. She clearly needs help, and you're not doing your job." Karen, hearing my friend say that to me, says, "How dare you lie to me? He just confirmed that you work here. Do I need to get a manager involved?" I say to her, "Ma'am, he's an idiot. Don't listen to him. I don't work here. I work for another bank down the road." Karen's not listening, and she says, "Now you insult a customer? I want to talk to your boss about you." It's at this point my friend laughs and says, "I'm just kidding. He's not working here." But it was too late. The woman completely lost her lid, and she starts yelling that she has $500,000 in her accounts, and she's gonna transfer everything to another bank, and we're both getting fired. Then, the lady I gave the letter to came up to us asking what the problem is. Karen tells her that we're refusing to help her and that we're making fun of her, and how wealthy she is, and that she wants to talk to our branch manager. The employee looked pretty confused, and she also confirmed that we're not working there. Karen starts yelling again that she's gonna transfer everything to the bank a block away, and she left the bank. The lady just apologized. I told her it wasn't her fault, and we just left. Now, I don't know if she really just transferred all of her money to another bank, or if she was even that wealthy, but I thought this story might be worth a share. Guys, it would be so funny if she'd followed through with her threat and transferred all of her money to the bank that OP works at. Wouldn't that be something? But I'm also pretty sure that 99% of people that make those threats never follow through, because it's a pain to transfer all of your stuff. So I'm 15 years old and female. This morning, my older brother calls me because the key to his car wasn't working. It was an electric short or something, and he wanted me to wake my dad up so we could bring him the spare, so I did. So my dad drives up to the 7-Eleven parking lot that my brother stuck in and hands me his card and tells me to grab him a Coke Zero and then get myself something to drink and eat. It's 7:30 a.m. I'm wearing fuzzy slipper boots, leggings, AirPods, and a Marvel hoodie. I also have cotton candy pink hair, and I wear glasses, and I'm 5'1" and look way younger than I actually am, unless I'm wearing makeup. I was in the store browsing around when in comes Bill. Now, Bill is somewhere over 6 feet tall, and he's large. The guy's wearing a muscle shirt, and I don't know if it's fat or muscle, but the guy was big. I also don't have social anxiety. My dad's a musician, so I'm used to being approached by adults that I don't know, and I can generally hold a friendly conversation or help people who need help, stuff like that. I'm just standing in front of the fridge door that has energy drinks in it when Bill over here taps on my shoulder. I turned around, and in this moment, pure fear, the conversation went as follows. I say to him, "Oh, sorry, am I in your way?" Bill says to me, "You're awfully young to be working here. Can I see your manager? I don't think pants like that should be allowed on the job." Hearing him say that, I'm now very confused. I say to him, I'm sorry, I don't work here. Do you need help? I can get you an employee if you need. I said that while picking up 2 orange monsters. Bill then says to me, are you one of them illegal girls who do free car washes? Can you clean out my passenger seat and then come home with me? Nobody'll notice. Just say you're on your break. And I'm thinking, well, that escalated quickly. And for some context, I'm a mix of black, white, and Hispanic, but I didn't end up with curly hair or blue eyes. I say to him, no, I'm sorry, let me find you an employee. Bill says, nah, it'll be fine, just come with me right now. The guy then reaches for my hand, which I very sharply pull away from. I just start walking to the front of the store and he follows a few feet behind. I put my things on the counter and start to check out, and Bill is standing like a foot behind me. The employee says to me, good morning, did you find everything okay? And Bill at this point is now yelling and says, excuse me, I can see that you're friends and all, but your employee has been absolutely disgusting to me, and I want my gas pumped for free. The employee tells him, sir, I'm sorry, but she's not an employee, she's a customer. Bill says, no, she's not. She offered to help me in the aisle back there. I want your manager right now. The employee tells him, sir, I'm the only person here right now. The manager's gonna be here at 10 a.m. This goes on while I'm standing there holding my card and waiting for this dude to back off. I just grab myself a tube of donuts from the counter for my troubles and then place it down since I hadn't paid yet. Bill then huffs and storms out, and he gets into a 4x4 with wheels as tall as me, and very aggressively drives away as music blares from the speakers. I could hear it from inside the store. I then left and found my dad and handed him the bag and told him my tale, and we leave. On the way home, we pass Bill's truck, and I don't think he saw us. Well, I hope he didn't. Yeah, so the post ends right there, guys, but definitely a creepy encounter right there. And also might have been an abduction attempt. Like the fact that the guy tried to grab OP's arm after he asked her if she wanted to clean out his passenger seat and come home with him, which is really weird, is absolutely insane. Definitely report that dude to the cops because who knows when he'll try that stunt again. So let me begin by saying that this happened back in the year 1999, and I was 19 years old in the army back then, and I looked nothing like an employee at this local Walmart. So I just got my very first career job in the army, and I was able to rent my own place, and I was stoked at being a real adult. So I decided to head to the Walmart to buy a bed and a TV so I could just veg out in my place with my own rules. So dressed in my uniform, I went to Walmart. As I was walking up and down the aisles, this older lady asked me for a bit of help to load a microwave into her cart. Being the nice guy I am, I said no problem, and that was mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 is I told her to have a good day after I helped her. As I return to my mission, a Karen taps me on my shoulder. Immediately, she demands I get her something off the shelf, and the only reason I said no is cause she snapped her fingers at me like I was some kind of servant. I tell her no, and I went about my business, which was mistake number 3. The Karen starts up a huge storm of cussing at me, telling me that I don't belong in her country anyways, and why even have on this uniform if I don't want to help others. For some context, I'm very dark brown and my hair is straight. A lot of people think that I'm Mexican or from the Middle East. I'm not. I'm half black and white. Anyways, as she's screaming at me, I'm simply tuning her out. In retrospect, I should have told her to stop this. At this point, an employee shows up, and she's instantly Karen's next target. This Karen rips into the poor girl who was seconds from crying. Again, I step in and tell her that she's a rude person. Just as I finish telling her off, in steps the manager. Again, the lady goes into graphic detail how I called her a string of bad words, and she wanted me banned from the store. The manager looks at me and says, "Ma'am, he doesn't work here. He's clearly in the army." At that, Karen turns bright red with anger. She looks me in the eyes and says she wants my boss's number, so she can get me fired from the army because I'm not cut out for it if I don't help others. So I obliged and I gave her my captain's number. She then says, "Once I learn your name, I'm gonna make sure you never get a job in this state again." At that, I nearly died from laughing. I just walk away thinking it's over. But boy was I wrong. It ended up being funny as hell, but just wow. So after about 4 days of this, I've kind of forgotten about the whole ordeal. I then get a call from my CO asking for me to see him as soon as possible. I get down to his office and holy cow, Karen's in his office saying, "Yes, that's him. Now you need to fire him." My CO has her leave, so I can tell my half. And this ended up being like a 3-day investigation, with Karen coming back every single day to ask if I was fired yet. My CO ends up explaining that not only was I not getting fired, I wasn't even getting punished, and that we've requested a restraining order against her. The woman lost her mind and was escorted off base. Lucky for me, I never ran back into her. Guys, some people need to get a life, right? Like, I still can't believe that she had that much time and she came back every day, asking if OP was fired yet. Like, that was a little over the top. And thank goodness they got a restraining order against her. With that said though, OP could have totally avoided all this by not giving out his CO's number. Like, what a mistake that was. This all happened a few months ago, so here's some backstory. I'm a rather large person, both in height and weight. I'm like 6'7", 240 pounds, and I have a large amount of facial hair for only being 16 years old, so it's pretty common for me to be mistaken for an adult. I was out at the local supermarket by myself because my parents weren't home for the day, and my mom gave me a shopping list of what we needed for the week. The store that I was in, most employees were wearing normal clothes. The only thing distinguishing them from customers was the name tag. I was in the produce section of the store when this story properly begins. I was buying fruits and some other things for the week when I notice a mom with her daughter shopping down the aisle from me. The mother, who we'll call Karen, looks over and she starts walking to me as I'm finding what fruit is on the list. And that's when the I don't work here lady story starts to play out. The woman says to me, "Excuse me, but do you know if they have this kind of cheese here?" I say to her, "Oh no, I don't, I'm sorry." I was being rather polite because there's no reason to be rude. And that prompts Karen to say, "Well, how do you not know? You work here." She's getting loud and irritated. I say to her, "Well, that's the thing, I don't work here. Now, if you can excuse me, I need to find the breakfast aisle." I announce that as I walk away. Suddenly, she reaches out and she grabs my arm, digging her nails into my wrist. She says to me, "I will have you fired for ignoring me, you know." The woman is drawing attention. As I look over, I could see that her daughter was clearly embarrassed as I was. I say to her again, "Listen, ma'am, I do not work here. Now please, leave me alone." And that was the wrong thing to say because without warning, she slaps me across the face, knocking me off balance. But I managed to keep myself from falling over, and she says, "How dare you assault me? I will have you arrested for assaulting a customer, and I will have you fired. As a matter of fact, I want to speak to your manager." By this point, a manager has seen her smack me and has rushed over. We'll call the manager Kyle. Kyle says, "Why did you slap him, ma'am?" Karen says, "You need to train your employees better. He ignored me, and when I asked again, he hit me in the face. I slapped him back in self-defense." Kyle explains he doesn't work here, he's a customer. Luckily, there were 2 officers in the store shopping at the time this happened, and they rushed over. They end up restraining her, all the while she was shouting that I tried to grab her, and she had to slap me in self-defense. After she'd been taken away, one of the officers had gone over to me and asked for my side of the story. I showed them the nail marks in my wrist and the handprints on my face. And after checking the camera, my story appeared to be truthful. So to conclude the story, they asked if I wanted to press charges for assault, and me being highly petty, I said yes. Karen wants to take me to court, but my father's having to deal with this because you can't sue a minor, and the court date is coming up soon. Once the ruling's finished, I'll make an update explaining the situation. I'll catch you all then. Yeah, so that woman was definitely a bit psycho, guys. Like, who slaps someone in the grocery store when mad and then turns it around and claims self-defense? Like, how do people not know that in this day and age, there's gonna be cameras everywhere? Again, some people be a little bit crazy. So here's some background. So there was a theme park a mile or 2 away from the town where I grew up. And me and my 4 friends all had these special all-year admission passes, so we would go pretty much every other weekend. We were 13 at the time, and this was in 2010. It's also worth mentioning that I'm pretty darn tall for a girl. In fact, I'm 6'3" today, and back then I was about 5'9" or 5'10" if memory serves. So mistaking me for an adult was well within the realm of possibilities, even for someone who didn't happen to be a complete moron. The employees at this park wore different colored polos and t-shirts depending on where in the park they worked, as well as black or brown pants or shorts, and I was wearing a red t-shirt and brown shorts that day, which I was slightly concerned about at the time. But A, I was barely a teenager, so I wasn't expecting to be mistaken for an employee. B, I really wanted to show off the new t-shirt to my friends, and C, if on the off chance that someone did mistake me for an employee, I could just tell them that I was a guest and they would understand, right? But wrong. I was so very hopelessly wrong. So this gaggle of young teen girls had spent a whole day riding every single ride, playing every game, and being scammed by every rigged arcade machine. After we were done with most rides, we were ready for the biggest ride in the park. Every park has that one ride that everyone thinks of and all the advertisements show off. We always save that ride until after, and we were finally ready. But one of my friends wanted something to eat, and after we all agreed that we were pretty hungry, we decided to get food. I had just gotten some fries, and I was walking to meet my friends when someone taps me on the shoulder, so I turned around. And that's when my little minute in hell began. Enter the entitled bastard, stage left. The guy says to me, "Hey, where are you taking those fries?" I say to him, excuse me, what do you mean? He says to me, "Who ordered those fries? Where are they?" I tell him, "These are mine. What are you talking about? Do you think I work here?" The guy says to me, "Well, of course you do. How come whatever lazy a-hole who ordered these fries gets them taken right to him while I have to wait in line?" Again, I say to him, "Mister, I do not work here. These are my fries." The guy screams at me and says, "Don't F with me, bitch. Here's something for the bastard who thinks that he's too good to wait in line." And then the guy spits in my fries. It was at this point my friend showed up. She had been at the stall a few feet away and she must have seen me in trouble. And she's twice the woman I am, even back then. My friend says, "What's going on?" Now I didn't say anything, I was just kind of shocked. The guy, on the other hand, was more than happy to speak up. The guy says, "Are you the one who can't be bothered to wait for her food like everyone else? Well, kid, your precious fries are ruined, so get in line." My friend just looked at my fries, immediately realizing what transpired, and she grabs the guy, who must have had at least 10 inches and 200 pounds on her, by his shirt, and she said this to him. My friend said, "Listen here, a-hole. You just ruined my friend's fries, and you will pay for more, or else." The guy snickers and says, "Or else what?" My friend then proceeds to kick the guy hard in the shins, which is probably a stupid move, but it was nice to see the guy in pain. At this point, a real employee approached, and the guy immediately turns to her and says, "This little piece of crap just kicked me. How come she doesn't have to wait in line?" My friend chimes in and says, "This guy just spit in my friend's fries." So after some drawn-out bickering and explanation, the guy caved. He gives a half-assed apology, and he practically sprints off. I got 2 free portions of fries to make up for it, and after eating them, we went on the big ride, and I felt better right away. I'm still good friends with my friend to this day, and we went back to the theme park recently. I wasn't wearing anything similar to the uniform at the time, though. Oh yeah, in my opinion, that guy deserved way more than a kick to the shin, guys. A face full of fries would have been perfect. Like, what an unbelievably a-hole move, though. Like, I'm glad Opie's friend had her back, but what was that guy thinking? For all he knew, like, Opie was taking a replacement order out to some kid in a wheelchair or something. So I felt reluctant to share this story because I was a bit embarrassed, but now that I'm over something so trivial, I figured y'all might enjoy it. So a new grocery store had opened up in our relatively small town this summer. I've only been to it once before the story takes place because it's halfway downtown, and I'm pretty far away from there. Because of this, I had absolutely no recollection of the employee uniforms, or else I would have selected my clothes a touch differently. Well, I walked in with black dress pants, a light fleece jacket, which is also black from my workplace, which had the company logo on the front. With that said, when I shop, I'm typically so focused on what I'm doing that I don't even stray my gaze away at other people outside my peripheral. I'm sizing up something I'm interested in, and I start doing math in my head. And while comparing my needs and wants versus my budget in the freezer foods department, I hear a small "hey" behind me. The voice sounded like it was a bit far off, and since my name wasn't called or anything, I imagined it was none of my business. A slightly frustrated "excuse me" followed a few seconds later, and I honest to God thought at that moment, geez, would someone just help her? Finally, the back of my jacket was being pulled, and I'm thinking, what the hell? So I whip around, shrugging off the hand that held me, and there's this woman, somewhere along in her 40s or so, about half a foot taller than me, so I would be caught staring in the wrong place. The woman was definitely dressed for summer. After looking up and catching a death glare, she starts spouting off how rude I am for not paying attention and that I should be reported for staring at her chest. Now, I can't recall exactly what she was looking for, but the condescending tone pretty much made everything she said nothing more than static noise as my anger rose and rose and rose. I finally interrupt her and said, "Look, I don't work here, so leave me the hell alone." I was about to walk away, but then she grabs me by the jacket and she pushes me up against the freezer door. And I'm thinking, holy Toledo, she's gonna kill me. The woman then leans in and she starts barking about what a pathetic piece of crap I am and that I'm going to be fired and charged for harassment, and that a loser like I am is going to die alone because no one likes me. The woman only dropped me because she got scared because an employee driving a pallet comes around the corner. The employee asked if I'm alright, fairly confused about what's going on. I turn around and point to the now fleeing entitled woman going around the opposite end of the aisle and tell her that the woman assaulted me and to call the police. The employee panically tells me to just stay there and she sprints towards the front of the store. Now, I am stubborn and I disregard staying there and make my way to the front. And along the way, I hear a lot of commotion. By the time I see anything, the manager's standing right in front of the exit, apparently in front of the locked doors, and Karen was squawking all sorts of crap. The crazy lady just death glares me again, and she calls back, saying I'm faking it, and that I was a disgusting pig who was trying to take out her breast in the aisle. That's when the manager speaks up and says, well, the police can look over the tapes to see for themselves. And it's at that point, the blood drained out of that woman so fast that everyone knew she was full of it. About 15 minutes later, the police arrived and they spent another half hour doing the procedure stuff, asking questions, taking statements, etc. They did review the tapes, of course, and asked if I wanted to press charges. I said no because it's enough of a headache already. I can't be bothered wasting time on any more of this stuff. They still hauled her off though. Yeah, you have to press charges in situations like this because it's the only way people learn not to do this. And again, even if OP was an employee, like that woman attacking him for no reason is definitely uncalled for. And that, my friends, brings us to another end of our /IDontWorkHereLady. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I hope you didn't shake your heads too hard. And if you missed the last episode on the channel, it's on our /entitledpeople episode, where a Karen thinks it's a great idea to attack OP to steal her Christmas gifts. It's such a wild story, so go check it out if you haven't. And myself and Stevie Boy will see you guys in the next one. We love you.